Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Didi Hirsch's 13th Annual Erasing the Stigma Awards. My name is Renfroe-Yousem. Along with Andrew Rubin and B. Stern, I'm chairing the awards committee this year. Just a moment ago, some of our special guests were acknowledged on the screen. Please forgive us if your name was omitted. Whether you're a mental health partner, elected official, client, or business leader, everyone in this room deserves recognition. Thank you for showing your commitment to erasing stigma by joining us, especially during this turbulent year that we're having. Andrew will speak shortly, but before we get the show on the road, I'd like to send a big hug to B. Stern, who could not be with us today, and tell her just how much we miss her. For more than 35 years, Bee's generosity and leadership have inspired us all to aim higher. In fact, she demanded it, for those who know Bee. I also want to acknowledge our event co-chairs, Jillian Schinkel, Jamie and Nicholas Heidegger, Meryl and Peter Mullen, and Nancy and Miles Rubin. Thank you for your steadfast commitment to erasing stigma. Let's give them a hand. Dangerous, disheveled, homeless. That's what most people think when they hear the word schizophrenia. With stereotypes like that, despair often follows the diagnosis. Yet, so much is possible. That's why Didi Hirsch chose schizophrenia as our theme this year, to help erase the long shadow of schizophrenia. With courage and tenacity, each of our honorees has done that. They have demonstrated that it's possible to be successful in work and in love, despite the challenges of the illness, and that even those who have gone years without treatment can forge deep bonds if we reach out to them. There is a treasure hidden in each one of us. We just need to take the time to find it. Now, please welcome my fellow awards chair, Andrew Rubin.
Thank you. Brian Copeland, our Master of Ceremonies, has had quite a life. He grew up in the Bay Area suburb of San Leandro when it was 99 and 44/100% white. Its goal as a city was to hit 100%. We like to think at Didi Hirsch we have loftier goals. When he was 11, Brian testified in his family's lawsuit for equal housing rights. They lost the case, but ultimately justice prevailed, and Brian still lives in San Leandro. If you're from the Bay Area, chances are you've heard of him for several other reasons. Brian wrote and performed the longest-running solo theater piece in San Francisco history. He also hosted a top-rated TV breakfast program and was honored by both the Associated Press and the radio television news directors for his TV news segment, Copeland's Corners. The book, based on the play, is required text now at high schools, colleges, and universities across the country. Brian is witty, sensitive, and thought-provoking, but those qualities are not the only reasons that we asked him to be our MC. We chose him because he has shown the same commitment to mental health as he did to fair housing many years ago. When Steve Lopez spent the night on the streets with Nathaniel Ayers, he was surprised to hear Nathaniel recite a soliloquy from Hamlet. If Brian were to choose a quotation from Shakespeare, he might choose the same passage, one that begins, "To be or not to be? That is the question." But Brian can tell you more about that, and you've seen quite enough of me already. So, without further ado, please welcome our Master of Ceremonies, Brian Copeland.
Thank you, Andrew. I can't follow that introduction, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, San Leandro was 99.99% white. Ivory Soap looked at that number and went, wow. What Andrew didn't mention was the name of my book and play, which is called Not a Genuine Black Man. And where that title came from was that I was accused, like Barack Obama, of not being black enough. And through writing the play and the book, it gave me a chance to examine my childhood, which was a childhood of trauma and of loneliness and of isolation that eventually led to me at the age of 35, mixing a martini, getting a Cuban cigar, going into my garage, closing the door, sitting in my convertible with the top down and the motor running. And had a neighbor not heard the car running and called the police, I would not be here today. When they took me to the hospital, the doctor said that I might, just might, be suffering from depression. Gee, you think? Nothing like sheer bliss to put me in the mood for some carbon monoxide fumes. That's what I told him. So because of that, I feel it's a duty and responsibility to speak out about it, because people who suffer from depression or schizophrenia feel like you're wearing a scarlet letter, like you have a scarlet D that you're wearing. And they're embarrassed about it. And there's no reason to be embarrassed, because you have no more control over it than if you had cancer, if you had MS, if you had Lou Gehrig's disease. You have no control over it. You did not choose this. And that's why I'm here. And that's why when Dr. Kita Curry asked me to MC this, I jumped at the chance, because it's another opportunity to speak out. And it is my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Curry, the president and CEO of Didi Hirsch. Recently, Kita was honored by the Los Angeles Child Guidance Clinic. They described her as a shining visionary and an audacious advocate. From Reuters to the LA Times to MSN, Money.com, reporters regularly seek her out for interviews. Her staff will tell you that she also does math in her head, not I've got to see, and has the tenacity of a terrier. I think when it comes to this cause, it's more like the tenacity of a pit bull myself. Although Kita has a lot on her shoulders, you know, she has 350 employees and there are 40,000 people. Think about that, 40,000 people that Didi Hirsch helps each year. She always makes time to ask you if you need help. So may I please have a nice, warm welcome for Didi Hirsch's fearless leader, Dr. Kita Curry.